Welcome back, boys and some girls. This video is going to be about simplifying the MapleStory lore, the power structure of the MapleStory lore, and we're going to dive a bit into the side lore. First, before we do that, I need to explain to you a bit about the past of the Maple world before we can actually do that. So, many years ago, there was a universe, and that universe governed over a universe. This universe had many evil creatures in it. Not only evil, but most of them are evil. They were called transcendents. Now, transcendents are created every time the universe senses there is an imbalance in the force between good or evil, black, white, red, blue, don't know. Every different kind of thing you can do. Whenever there is an imbalance, the world just pop, spawns a transcendent out of nowhere. Some of the transcendents you might actually know if you play the game and you actually notice. First we have Rene, which is the goddess of time, the transcendent of time. They call them goddess, they call them transcendent. They change the name every time depending on how progressed you are in the story. But they're the same, goddess, gods, transcendents, they're all basically the same. You can see her at the room of her Carium. If you notice, you can read her title, you can see she's said the goddess of time, but it's a transcendent of time. The same. Besides her, we have Alicia, the blonde girl in the Chaos Root Abyss questline, or the Tower of Oz. It's basically the same girl. One of them is the body, one of them is the soul of that person, but they're basically all the same. It's the same person, the same transcendent of life. She's basically the mother of all things. Besides that, we have a very famous boy. You might know the Black Mage. He was also known as the White Mage, the transcendent of light. But no, he didn't do the reverse Michael Jackson. It's not why he changed colors. Now, if you follow this line of logic I just told you before, the only reason he would change from being the transcendent of light, which is like the greatest of goods there is, into the Black Mage, which is like dark powers, evil. I suggest when he was the Black Mage, he was a better person than he was the White Mage, but you'll see just a second. So as I said, there was supposed to be something that countered him, right? But when you do the Limina questline, you're told the Black Mage, the White Mage, I'm getting almost complicated between the two, confused. Then when you do the Limina questline, you were told the White Mage was so good, he was such a good person, that the universe held him back to make him like the bad guy. So, you know, the balance we talked about before, right? But then when you do the Athenium questline, you're told and you see the White Mage actually conducting experiments and using shadows and eventually turning himself to be the Black Mage. So you have to choose one. Both of them can't be true at the same time. It doesn't work this way. As I said a few moments ago, before the Limina questline, he's referred to as a god. The Black Mage referred to as a god. Whenever you see him in the Magatia questline or wherever, he's just like a god. The Black Mage is a god. And then when you do the Limina questline, you get to Arcane River, they changed the terminology to make him a transcendent. I think they did it this way because before Limina they didn't really think, okay, we actually have like a big game now. People are joining the game, we need a bigger story. We actually need to be able to add more stuff to the game so it makes sense. So they changed it so they can add as many transcendent as they want. You could probably guess another transcendent if you kind of follow the story or even you notice what's going on around you when you do quests. This one is from Grandis. It's Darmor or Aaron, the library guy from Cernium that betrayed you at the very end. This dude is the prince of the High Flora, as well as the son of the God King, which is the king of the Floras, right? Very strong dude. Beside that, he's also a family member of the family that helped Magnus capture Elysium way back then at Pantheon questline when you were like level 120, something like that, level 100 maybe. Around then, so they also helped Magnus. So this is where the story stops for now. So I can't really be sure exactly what's going on with the Grandis questline, but at the last Athenium episode, you're told that now Aaron is the transcendent of life. So where did Alicia go? Is she dead? What's going on? Like, did he kill her? I have no idea. Maybe they simply forgot she's in the game. It could be. I won't like be shocked when they even forgot that or something. Maybe we'll be told later on in the game. I have no idea. And I want to stress this point once again. Nexon didn't put a cap on how many transcendent there are. I just told you every time the universe needs one, it creates one. So they could be like infinite. You could have infinite Black Mage Darmors, like infinite stuff like that. So you have as many as the game needs. This is why they change it. Okay, so we talked a lot about NPCs, about bad guys. So what about us? We as the player are called an adversary. An adversary is sent by the universe to do the dirty work of keeping the balance, again, between good, bad, stuff like that, but we are not given OP powers like Transcendent. We just get the basics powers of friendship and a perception of an 8-year-old anime main character. So your next question might be, wait, then what's the difference between Transcendent and Adversary? I have no clue, I really have no idea. They are both created to keep the balance in the universe, but adversaries are more general purpose. They're not given specific powers or anything, and Transcendents are more specific. Transcendent of light, Transcendent of life, like very specific things. Now you have some knowledge about the basics of the top of the MapleStory power structure, right? Now let's dive a little bit down. Let's talk about the Transcendents commanders. Not every single one, but quite a few of them have commanders. We said the Black Mage, we said the Armor. We're going to use those two as an example because it's the easiest to actually understand. Besides straight commanders, quite a few of those sub-commanders have their own subordinates. Let's imagine the Black Mage, okay? Then under the Black Mage you have a few commanders. Let's take one of them, let's take Darknell. Darknell has his own elites, right? They are his own subordinates. If you did the Darknell quest sign, you will understand this is kind of a sad story, but he has those subordinates. You can also take Damien and Chaos Root Abyss, it's the same thing. Chaos Root Abyss is from Damien, basically. So Black Mage, Damien, Chaos Root Abyss. I'm going to give you a very short description about a few of those commanders and stuff like that, just the bosses. But just note that most of them are just like Got Talent participants. They all have like a tragic background story that you need to cry about or something, even though you don't care about them. For the Maple World Generals, we have Lucid, which is a crybaby kid that cried because she's not getting enough emotions and enough love from Mercedes. We have Will. This clip is gonna summarize it pretty good.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
We have Vihila, which wanted more beauty. She wanted to be beautiful for longer, so after being regular Hila, she went to the Black Mage, took more power, and she returned back as a BTGGF. Google that. We have Darknell, we just talked about. He turned insane by having to fight through the same day for centuries. He was corrupted by the Black Mage when he was the White Mage. Again, there is a story beginning here. Arcarium was a good guy, turned to the bad guy. Von Leon, good guy, turned to be the bad guy. Lotus, him and his sister, Orchid, were actually spirits that the Black Mage corrupted when he was the White Mage, again, to become spirits. Then he created them bodies through Gelimer, and then they become like android with actual bodies. But again, White Mage corruption. For collateral gems, which is not specifically Black Mage influence, like straight boop, touch them on the nose, you have Gloom, which is the evil witch that guard the entrance to the labyrinth. We have the Ferricune, we have Papulatus, we have Cygnus, we have the Sun Colossus. We have a few more, but most of them are just corrupted by the Black Mage through proxies. For example, Stone Colossus is corrupted through Damien. Can you find the repeating story here? Everything, single thing the White Mage touches turned to be corrupted. He wasn't a good person when he was the White Mage, as described in the Limina questline, how you planned all of this, and now he's thanking you for everything you have done, for freeing him, for making sure that the world is now good and completing what he has tried to do. BS. The next bosses are going to be bosses that have no real connection to the story. They have no mentions of being connected to the Black Mage. They just, I call them joke bosses. Just bosses are just there for events or I don't know, to have fun. We have Omni, we have Slime, and we have Targa and Scarleon in Ludibrium. Besides that, there is also Land Swap. That's how I call them. Bosses that came from a world through a very big ritual, a world that's not the Maple world, and it's totally not Japan. 100% it's not Japan, trust me. We have the same, we have Oda, which is the same as Oda in real life, just more fantasy. We have Akechi, which is the ex-Oda underling. We have Princess Snow, which is Oda's wife. We have Ranmaru, another underling. We have the boss, the Yakuza boss from Showa Town. And you can see the things here, it's just Japanese stuff, all the stuff from Japan. Now we have just random legends in the game. They have no connection to anything. They're mostly all bosses, which makes sense. Again, they didn't have any plan for a bigger thing, so they didn't have like a, oh, they're connected to this, just stuff like that. Golax, Pianos, Balrog, and Zakum. Golax just simply corrupts by the land. I don't know why. He's just corrupted, trust me. Pianos is just a deep sea creature. Balrog is simply evil for the sake of it, and Zakum is just a spirit that controlled the town and made them build him a statue, which is the statue you fight as Zakum. For Grandis, there is basically almost nothing to say because it's a much smaller part. There are barely any bosses. But for now, this is what we have. For the generals, you have Kaling, which is a lab patient with like bad parenting. It's very similar. She has a very similar personality to Lucid. You have Havoc and Limbo. We don't know much about them. They're not still in the game, but they're in the lore. This is why I placed them in the list. We have bosses that have no connection to Darmur, basically. You have Kalos, which was hacked by T-Boy. Just a hacked Robo-Dog. Seren has no reason to fight us lore-wise. She's just there because her god Mitra told her to fight us. But then we helped him with the High Mountain. But she still fights us. I don't know what the reason. There is no even story fight against Seren because there is no fight against Seren. It makes no sense. She's not supposed to fight you. And also, obviously, we have Magnus, which is like a little nephew for Darmur, basically. He helped him and he helped him back. They're just like a relationship between them of helping. As I said before, he helped him take over Elysium. But this is pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, thank you. If you didn't, well, you wasted a few minutes. Keep us safe. I'll see you next one. Bye.